Okay, peace kings and queens, how you doing? So I already did two workshop videos already, and I'm actually going to delete those. So if you're watching this in real time, they're going to be going voila, like magic, right? Because I realized that I just jumped right into everything and I did not break anything down to you. I made no introductions, I made no clarifications. How rude of me. So I apologize. One, my name is Katoya. Nice to meet you. And I will be your spiritual coach on this workshop journey. What materials do we need on this journey? Well, you should always have your notebook ready. You should have a journal as you're going through this. This would take, if you were doing it on a weekly basis, it would take you approximately 8 weeks to finish this course. But everybody works at a different pace, which is why I'm uploading everything now. And there's 7 chapters, but one of the chapters actually have 2 parts. So there's going to be 8 videos to this workshop. Okay? And this thing here. This is my book, On My Way to the Throne, available on Lulu.com. $10. On it, you're going to see a pseudonym, Amira Manal. We'll discuss that at another time because we have plenty of time together, but that is a pseudonym. But my name is Katoya. Okay? So, a little bit about me. I have always worked when I did work because I spent a lot of my time being a stay-at-home mom and a wife. I was married from the time I was 18, became a mother at 20. Had this whole big kaboom, kabang, ooh, I love him, I hate him relationship for really a lot of years. Had a whole big escape when I was 33. We have 6 children together, 6 little girls. But when I was not being a wife and a mother, anytime I did work outside of the household, I worked at the capacity of public service. And through those employers, I gained a lot of experience, a lot of different licenses and certifications, being doula, lactation consultant. I just want to have a license in acupuncture therapy, but we did a little bit of that. And what's, the mandated reporting, child abuse communications, things of that nature. But FDC credentials, which is family development credentials, which is where I get a huge portion of how I format these workshops. And so I just wanted to give credit to them, first of all, because they did an amazing job in teaching me. So this is a very personal and a very spiritual work. However, sometimes it's good to have support. And ideally, I would think that it would benefit most people, but yourself, if you could get into a group setting with other ladies and kind of do this work together and be a support to each other. So if you are in fact doing that, I just want to make a suggestion to set a few group rules before you start. So one being, the simple things like don't interrupt someone else when they're talking. Maybe you want to put a time limit on, the time somebody has to share. Because, of course, when you are doing spiritual work and you're getting out feelings, people have the tendency to really share because people want to get it out. People want to be heard. People want to be understood and validated and things of that nature. So you could do that. We also had an acronym called ELMO, ELMO, and that was for when someone was like, going on and on and on about a topic, instead of being rude, like, okay, that's enough, or having that awkward, like, everybody knows it's enough, but this person keeps going. You could say, ELMO, enough, let's move on, and because these rules have been set from the beginning, everybody, the vibrational level of it is cool, right? So I'm sure you have a ton of other rules that you can come up with. That was just, a couple of suggestions. And what else? Any more group things? No. So of course, introduce yourselves to each other and things of that nature. And just make sure that when you're doing a group, never feel obligated to be a part of that group if it really is not resonating with your spirit. It is very important for you to be in a group with women who you trust, who you feel safe with, who you feel secure with. Because like I said, this is very intimate work. And you all whoever is part of the group needs to have a very HIPAA mentality. Okay, a very confidentiality mentality, not to share outside the group what's going on, because like I said, it can get very intimate and very personal if you are really delving deep in doing the workshops. Okay, so for everyone, whether you're doing it by yourself or if you're doing it with the group, we're always going to start every meeting off with taking a mindful minute, something that I learned at FTC. So a mindful minute, make sure that you're always in a quiet place. I hope that my environment stays a little bit quiet because there's things going on around me. But when you put your feet flat on the floor, make sure you're sitting up straight, hands like this, right on your lap. Nothing should be crossed, not your feet, not your hands, not your fingers, not your toes, not anything, because crossed body parts block energy, right? So close your eyes, take a deep breath in. Positivity, happiness. Breathe out. Negativity, negative vibrations, inhibitions. Breathe in, safety, security, love. Breathe out, judgment, shame, fear. Okay, now keep your eyes closed and think of a very beautiful and relaxing place. A very safe place. Okay. Now open up your eyes. Now, if we were together right now, I would ask if anyone had anyone to share. And so you can feel free to pause and do that if you would like to. For everyone else, we are going to go ahead and to begin reading. So like I said, on my way to the thronenoodles.com for $10. Well worth the investment. The actual workbook, I was going to make an actual workbook, but I am in the process of finishing. I say that so loosely, it's not that simple, but another book. And so with that book, I'll incorporate the workbook. So this workbook will just be your journal, and we'll just do this one here over the internet, okay? I am also available for public speaking and spiritual growth and therapy, interactive therapy. The contact is in the description below. Okay, so the first chapter is going to be choices. And you're going to see it's going to be, like I said, 7 weeks long. 8 weeks long. It's 7 chapters. One chapter has 2 parts. But you, of course, do it at your own pace. If you actually have the book, there are other chapters after the 7th one. But it's more or less my personal story, and I'm not going to, get into that on this type of thing. So, if you wanted to, read that story, then that's in the book. I'm only going to deal with 7 chapters here. Okay, so choices. I originated from a pretty normally dysfunctional family. In the 90s, there was tons of single-family homes, mostly headed by single black women who earned their own money, cut their hair short, and smoked Newports. That's my reality. Being strong and independent is something I knew well, and I detested it. It seemed like to be a strong woman meant you had to be a mean woman, a neck-snapping, eye-rolling kind of fancy, and I really didn't want to be like that. Though as I got older, I adopted the same attitude as the black women that I grew up watching. Now that I was wearing it, I could feel its material, and it was so thin yet so heavy. A mere defense mechanism, a place to hide when the lights got too bright or any feelings of hurt or embarrassment would surface. It was just a protector. And anyone knows you need a good protecting out here, maybe even armor. But turns out my armor, that attitude, was faulty. It wasn't built on anything withstanding, only on the shells of well-intending women with scarred hearts. With scarred and fragile hearts. Bless them. I heard on the news one day that medical professionals were doing studies on the makeup of black women in order to help soldiers who suffer from PTSD. They say we are the only entity on the planet that seems to remain in a functional state after experiencing some really traumatic and life-altering events. I beamed with pride at first, and then it dawned on me. This is part of the problem. Yes, black women are strong, but at what cost? Well, everyone has their own individual account, so I can't say exactly. However, I would offer that this so-called attitude or angry black woman spill might be a side effect of that strength, a mechanism like the shell of a crab. Some may argue that we should control it, learn how to turn it off. I agree, but when exactly should we turn it off? When are we safe? When are we out of enemy territory? Where can we safely take off our armor? It was a dark road highly untraveled, and in my own darkness, I decided to turn my whole self down in humility and prayed for guidance. I submitted all control. I cried out that my hell and my pain had swallowed me whole, and there was no air for me to breathe. And every day since I've died, I've mourned my existence. So many memories, questions unanswered, made up eulogy. It must have all been a lie. What could I have been thinking? Too late for regret. It's over now. Ascend or fall. So, I gave you a little bit of a glimpse, right, into my childhood. Not much, because like I said, my story is in the back. What is the feelings that you have? What are the feelings that you have around your childhood? Who raised you? You know, what did that look like? I know when I think back to my childhood, I remember a lot of things from smell, right? I can remember certain feelings that I had. I had a really close relationship with my grandfather. Not such a great relationship with my father, right? And my paternal grandfather at that. I honestly believe that if it was not for my grandfather, my father may not even know where my sister and I lived or where we are now, because that's how far removed he was from the situation, right? And I'm telling you this because as you go through this exercise, I want you to push your mind. See, our minds are used to operating at a very primitive state, and they're very comfortable with operating at a primitive state. So what your mind already knows is what it usually goes to, you know. And a lot of us are very used to remembering things that were not the ideal, right? And attaching an emotion to that memory and then boxing it in, right? So for me, for instance, I could say, well, my dad, I didn't have when someone asked me, okay, the relationships in your life, what was your relationship like with your dad? And I could say, well, you know, I didn't have a father figure. My dad was really far removed. You know, I had a stepfather, but it was not as close as I would have been with my dad, and he was very much in and out, you know what I mean? And that's all very true, and it's very valid, it's very legit, and I can have those, you know, and I was upset about that for many years, and that is a truth, right? See, it's hard for me to attach the emotion to it. Let me see, like, so back then I would have like, I can't stand him, like, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't there for me, he's a deadbeat, blah, 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 blah. Like, I guess it makes me uncomfortable to say it now, but I guess, like, that's, you know, what I was saying back then. And so I've attached this emotion to that experience, right? Instead of just letting the experience be with what it is. Because what I had to realize was that although I did not have a decent relationship or even a present relationship or active relationship with my father in my memory was a very controlling man to my mother. And so the relationship that I did have with my Uncle Billy, who came and made sure I went outside every single day, took me to the park, and, you know, got me and his daughter, which was my cousin, you know, money just for being pretty. Or, you know, my cousin Calvin, who I call an uncle, who has been of great spiritual guidance to me. Or my Uncle Charlie, who made sure every birthday was great. Or even the drug dealers on 107, who made sure that, you know, I was secure and I felt protected, you know, in my neighborhood. I don't even remember ever having a key, you know, in Southside Jamaica, Queens, and having drug dealers on my couch in the morning, you know, like, why are you late for school? Like, dude, why are you in my house? Like, what's good, you know? And it was a family. It was a very community sense. But judging off of how controlling my dad was, I probably would not have had that abundance of energy. You understand? And so I began to look at it for what it was. And when I began to look at it outside of my emotions, I was able to see the truth of it and also pull some jewels out of it. You understand? So when we are working, because that's what this is, these workshops are that, our organization is that, it's work, you know what I mean? As we're working, I want you to constantly push your mind. I want you to understand that there's nothing easy about this. And a lot of times people hear me say that and they really don't get what I'm saying. You know, a lot of times I was, you know, going to interview a few people, and I'm saying to them, well, are you ready for this interview? And they're like, yeah, you know, I'm ready. I'm like, okay, you know, you got to be completely raw. You have to be completely honest. They're like, yeah, I got it. I'm like, you sure? They're like, yeah. And then I hit them with a mock question with a boom, and they freeze up on me, because you have to really know that you're ready. Okay, and at any point that you realize that you're not really giving your all to this, you should step away, because it's a waste of your time. And also, you're putting yourself in danger, because now you've been exposed to information that can grow you, and you're now choosing to be away from it, which now you're completely accountable. It's one thing when you don't know what's going on. You know, it's another thing for you to be exposed to something and choose to stay complacent or choose to stay stagnant, because it's hard, because it involves a lot of fear, it involves a lot of embarrassment, it may involve things, and not even for anybody else, you know, sometimes to admit to yourself what's going on with you, or the things that you've done that you may not be proud of, that you've spent so much time lying to everybody else about, that in turn you began to lie to yourself. You understand? So this is a very intense work. Alright, and I probably should have said that before. I apologize for my lateness in that delivery, but it's very intense, okay? So it's going to involve you pushing your mind, like I was saying, and your mind is going to revert back to that thought. It's not like you're going to make a decision one day to push your mind, and then from that point on your mind's going to be pushed. No, every single day, every single moment, every single time you go to have a positive thought, or to have a thought of overstanding, and I use that phrase a lot. And for me, overstanding is this: when you understand something, you're in the situation, so you're attached to the emotion of it. When you're attached to the emotion of something, you're limited to your perception, you're limited to your view, because your feelings are attached to it. When you bring yourself out of it, which means take your emotions out of it, not that you're really out of the situation, because the world goes on, but when you take a moment to yourself and you take yourself out of it and take your emotions, how you feel, out of it, and you look over the situation at everybody's point of view, right, then you're overstanding. Then you're able to see different perspectives, and you'll know when you're able to do that. Right now, for me, there's far more ways for me to go, but right now, for me, I'm at the place where I can, you know, at this point, somebody can say to me like, oh, you're, you know, a horrible mother. You know, something that would have really hurt my feelings in the past. I really would have wanted to defend that. At this point, I can say, oh, well, you know, depending on what information you have, I can see why you might feel that way. And I'm fine with that. And we don't have to go any further. That's fine. You can have that opinion. And I can even see where you may be coming from, depending on who you know or what you know. Yeah, that's it. Okay? So every time you are emotion has its place, but be careful, because emotion can really taint the reality situation, right? When they say his story, her story, and then the truth, okay, it can really taint things a bit. So be careful with that, and continuously push your mind. Work. Solution-based proactivity at all times. Work. Your mind is gonna go back to that thought. Your emotions are gonna go back to that, that feeling, that emotion. It's where you feel safe. It's where you've been all this time. Of course, push it. Tell your mind, nah, I don't want to do that right now. And I learned that from a guy named Brendan something. He's on YouTube. If you look up positive thinking, his name is Brendan or Brandon. He's super good. The way he explains it is just absolutely dope. My rendition was like compared to his. Trust me, you should watch him. I'm gonna find out his name. Excuse me. So push your mind, okay? All right. So also, when I am with a group of people, or even when I do one-on-one sessions, there is a more intense work that's done. Of course, there's more detailed information. You actually get a program, of course, suited to you, to your spiritual growth. You know what I mean? So the way the workshops are over the internet, it's okay. You can benefit from it. But that direct contact, it would be more intense. So some of the notes that I have and some of the activities that I have are, of course, things that I can't do because I can't individualize, right? So we're going to work with what we can. So for choices for this week, what we're going to do is I want you to answer these 3 questions. Who are the impactful relationships in your life, right? There may be more than one, but don't make it more than 5, not more than a handful, because we don't want to make it too complicated, right? Impactful relationships, okay? I want to say negative or positive, but it's not about that. It's gonna be positive in it regardless because you're here. So there was a reason for it, right? So impactful relationships. Okay. I want you to write down what did those relationships look like with each of those people. So an impactful relationship that I had was with my let me go to the 3rd question. And then, so what was those relationships like? Describe what it looked like. Describe what it felt like. If they always smelled like cocoa butter. If, whatever they used to do. And that interaction with you. And how did it make you feel? And you know what I mean? However it goes. Right down to if somebody in your life was abusive and that was an impactful relationship, and you can think about the sound of the leather of the belt on your ass, like whatever it is, I'm asking you to really delve deep. There's no other reason to do this if you're not going to delve deep, Okay, so describe what those relationships look like, felt like, smelled like, sound like. And then, what did those relationships in your childhood, what did those relationships teach you about you, right? Either what the person said, whether it's verbally, by actions. I really like to focus more on actions. And if what they told you verbally was different from what they showed you with their actions, I want you to make that very clear in your journal as well. Okay, so for me, I would say, an impactful relationship that I had was with my grandfather, my paternal grandfather, right? And he used to pick us up, my sister and I, every weekend almost. We was there every holiday. I would go to church with him every Sunday. He is a huge part of my spiritual basis, a huge part of why I am where I am and why I do what I do. We had a little bit of a falling out, as I got older, and it was never quite the same, and that left me feeling a little bit, really bad, and I wanted to make it up to him. He was the best cook. Our Thanksgiving dinners, what I remember most, he used to make me my own sweet potato pie, okay? And, what my grandfather taught me about myself was that he always, instilled in me that I shouldn't want for anything, that a man should take care of you if you are his woman, that a man should take care of home, that he should take care of the bills, he taught me what a man looks like when when he's desiring you in a physical way, as opposed to really being into you. You understand what I'm saying? He put me onto some game in that way about men and how they thought, what they think, the differences between men and women, right? And how biased the world was. And these are the things he taught me with his mouth. And then with his actions, because of his relationship with his wife and the relationship I see him have with just women in general, that a subservient and a submissive woman was best, and that you needed to listen to your husband. He never said this out of his mouth to me. In fact, when it came to the women in his family, he wanted us to let all of our children keep his last name, our maiden names, Chambers. So he didn't want us to respect the men in our lives necessarily the way he wanted the women in his life to respect him. And I even learned from him in depth that my strength was okay, and that it was nothing that I needed to apologize for, because I thought I had been too strong with him. You see what I'm saying? So I want you to really delve deep. I want you to go beneath the surface. And like I said, anyone will really benefit from a more private and intimate session. Like I said, details will be available in the description box. Wow, I didn't realize how difficult this was going to be, because I really like to delve in, and it's so difficult. Okay, anyway, I'll live. So definitely reach out, because this can be a really phenomenal thing for anyone. Anyhow, so impactful relationships that you had in your life. What those relationships look like, smelt like, felt like, sound like, even taste like. And what did those relationships teach you about yourself? And like I said, from my grandfather, he taught me one thing verbally, and then he taught me things non-verbally as well with his actions. So really delve deep, right? And look into that. Okay, so let me not say I made a mistake. It's not your activity. That's your homework for you to do before you go on to the next session. Okay? Your activity for you to do right now. I want you to start with a clean piece of paper. And I want you to write a list of who or what you love. Okay? So I'm going to wait. Who or what you love. Okay, if you need more time, just go ahead and pause it, okay? Because I'm going to go ahead. Who and what do you love? Once again, I wish I was in your face, but I'm not, so it's cool. I've known people to put a lot of things on this list. Their children, their spouse, their parents, siblings, some people material possessions, pets is often a big one. And I think in all my time doing this, like I've been around so long, right? But I've been doing this exercise since 2015, right? So 2 years, okay? So in the past 2 years, out of 100 people, I'll say, it's been more than 100 people, but let's just keep it plain. Out of 100 people, I would say that maybe 2 put themselves first. Put themselves, me. I love me. And if anybody wrote that, good. You're already on the right path. For the rest of us, we just got to get on the right path. That's okay. That's the work. That's the work. It's similar to being on an airplane and having it go down. You have your children, your parents on a plane, your spouse, especially your children. You want to save them. Got to save yourself first. And that's often hard. That's really hard. I know for someone like me, that's really hard. Really hard. Because how do you live with yourself if you don't get to everybody else? Right? That's what I always say. How the hell? I would rather just, gotta love you. You gotta love you. So I hope that little activity gave you a little bit of peek. Because this is all self-work. Even when we're talking about other people's self-work. And we're going to get this work. Right? Because we're going to get better. And we're going to raise these babies. And we're going to build this future. Like we've been doing, Queens. Mothers of civilization. Ain't nothing changed. We just got a little cloudy for a while. But we back. Right? With your homework today, make sure that you talk to family members. It's important that you talk to family members, because oftentimes how we may perceive something as a child may not actually be what it was. I want you to remain true to your perception. I want you to understand that your feelings are very valid and that anything that you feel is okay, right? But we also want to get into the habit of looking at it in more of an overstanding than an understanding, right? You want to be over this thing. You are the master of your destiny, of your fate. You know what I mean? And even though you were well, especially since you were a child at that time, you know what I mean? I'll tell you something very interesting. I have always been very terrified of squirrels. And everybody asks me why. And in my mind, I said, I think I seen a little girl get attacked by a squirrel. I think I was with my aunt and I seen a little girl get attacked by a squirrel. Well, one day, I'm living in North Carolina and I'm driving and I hit the squirrel and I kill him. And I was so sad because I killed the squirrel. And I was on the phone with my aunt and said, Auntie, guess what? I killed the squirrel. She said, fuck squirrels. Squirrels are evil. So I said, why would you say that? She said, Toya, you don't remember? She said, oh no, you too young. You wouldn't remember. She said, a squirrel came into an apartment when you was a baby, chased us around the house. It must have been like a rabid squirrel. Chased us around the house. We had to run out the house, screaming. We had to escape from the damn squirrel. Now, funny thing, I always thought it was outside at a supermarket, and I thought it was a whole nother little girl. But no, it was me, right? I don't remember that story, but my subconscious remembers that story. And as a result, as an adult, I will cross the goddamn street if I see a squirrel. I will fight on a person. Yes, I will fight. I will pick something up. I will whatever. But a damn squirrel, you bring a squirrel to the fight, you want to squat. You want to fight. You got it. I have to get it. I tell my children all the time, listen, please don't mess with the squirrels because I don't know if I can save you. I don't know if my instinct will pop in and save you. I'll scream. I'll be real. I don't know what I'll do though. You understand? But that's ingrained in me from being a child, being chased around by a rabbit squirrel. Come on. But I don't remember that. That's a part of myself, though, that my subconscious just instinctively kicks in, and now my aunt can bring understanding to that. Right? So also talk to the people. Make sure it's people that you trust, too. You know what I'm saying? All of this work has to be done with people that you trust in places that you feel secure and you feel safe, or else it's not going to work. You know, I'm trying to give you as much I want. I know that sometimes people cannot necessarily afford the price for a one-on-one spiritual experience, a one-on-one spiritual interactive growth experience. I get that 110-fold. That's why I want to do it this way. But since we're doing it this way, you have to really push yourself. You really have to delve in, you know what I mean? Because you don't have somebody there, and please try to be in groups so that you guys can encourage each other, so that you can encourage each other to dig deeper, to get to the bottom, so that you could check. You know, it's going to come times in these workshops where you're going to want to have somebody around you, because you're going to get to the real of it, somebody that's going to be able to tell you, wait a minute, baby, you kind of come off like this, so that might be the reason why this happened. Okay, I'm rushing ahead because I get really excited, so let me just go ahead and close this out so I can move on to the next video. Yes, I'm going to have on the same thing. Yes, it's going to be the same background, because I get honest with myself, and the honest part of me says that, look, I need to sit down and just do them all, because once I get up and start doing other projects, other things fall by the wayside, and that's something I have to work on. See, we growing together, right? So you're going to see the same red blazer. You're going to see everything the same. It's just me. Right? Maybe I'll take this off because it's getting a little bit warmer here. But that's it, all right? So your homework, Talk to some of your relatives if at all possible, if you feel comfortable doing that. If not, then that's fine. But definitely, impactful relationships in your childhood could be 1 up to 5. Let's not exceed a handful. Let's not exceed 5. What do those relationships smell, look, feel like, sound like, taste like? What do those relationships teach you about yourself, either directly or indirectly, verbally or by action? Okay? So make sure you bring your homework back with you tomorrow. To the next video. Solution-based proactivity. I love you guys. And I will see you next time.